Alright, guys, this is going to be my third weekly thesis. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to try to just keep on posting these every week. But, pretty much last week, right? It wasn't really too much one sided. You know, we we were kinda like sticking to the median of the weekly VWAP for a little bit, but eventually we kind of broke out on Friday, which was kind of odd to me. I thought we would kind of stay balanced on Friday, but we kind of broke out. However, this gives me an opportunity to look for longs, and the reason why I say this is because obviously we're kind of deviated. Looking at the weekly profile, we're way out of balance, right? Even on the weekly, looking at VWAP, right, we're kind of far from it. Um, but however, I also say this because I have this balance extreme marked out, and I'm interested in this area, right? We're on the 180 time frame with the VP, but I'm interested in this area because mainly we had very bearish price action on this day, and we use this balance extreme right to push higher. Um, and we eventually stopped right up here at this balance extreme, which I'm gonna get into this in a little bit after I just go over what I'm gonna think for next week. But this area, I'm interested in this area. I'll say why in a little bit. But we rejected, um, and we came back right. We tested this balance extreme again, um, and we kind of after that we had some bullish price action, but we were kind of balancing right. We are kind of balancing, and sellers kind of broke out of it right. But we did test this balance extreme again right. So this this I kind of want to see um how next week's end log looks like if we have one. Um, if we if we gap up, I'd expect this to be bullish. Um, go to the daily. But yeah, so if we gap up, I kind of expect this to be bullish. The reason why is because we have this single print up here, and like I said, we're kind of deviated from fair value, and these single prints over here are potential areas for the future. I don't think we're gonna. It's gonna take us a little bit to get up here, and I'll say that in a little bit why. But yeah, we rejected off this extreme right rebalance. We kind of looks like we might reject off of it again. Um, you know, at this on Friday, we were kind of at the extreme of this profile. So in terms of auction market theory, right? If buyers have the upper hand over here, I'd expect us to traverse this entire area, right? And the single print, aligns with the extreme of that. So, um, I really want to see buyers, use this composite VP as fuel to push price higher. Um, and let's say if we do, right, we push higher. We do have some resistance in this area. So if sellers aren't there, in terms of auction market theory, right, I'd expect us to push up, get this single print. Depends, how the order flow is, but maybe use this as fuel for buyers to eventually push price higher. Um, and I do think they will be met with resistance in this area, and definitely in this area up here. The reason why is because we balanced right. Sellers broke out of this balance area really aggressively, right? We kind of sellers are really active in this area, so I kind of see how we play off this area. Maybe this naked POC could be an area of interest for rejection. 845. We could kind of reject off of that, maybe push higher. And I definitely don't think buyers will be able to push price up really fast. Like obviously they're gonna be met with sellers. Um, but let's say, uh, oh yeah, I want to get into this area up here. The reason why I really feel comfortable taking shorts up here, if buyers have the upper hand and we trade up in this area, is just looking at Friday, right? Looking at overall structure, like this is a 10-day VP. We kind of have the extreme of this profile, right? Which aligns with a higher time frame. And I really I like aligning the lower time frame with the higher time frame just because it gives me like more, I'd say, confidence in that level just because there's alignment between the two, right? Um I kind of This high volume node is kind of interesting. I like this area. We kind of just looking at like how we traded last week, right? We kind of rejected off of it really good. And of course, if we push a little bit higher, this would be the last area I'm interested in, which is the overall extreme of the entire profile. Sorry. But, this low volume node, um, in between these two, high volume nodes, is like an area of rejection. But like I'm really interested in taking shorts in this area because sellers are very active. And there's just alignment, like it's perfect. Like let's go to the weekly. Yeah, and even looking on the weekly too, right? If we do push up here, would be pretty deviated from overall balance, which is in this area. So I definitely feel comfortable taking shorts in this area. Um, but let's say if we gap down, right, which I doubt will happen honestly, but if we do gap down, my next overall objective would be um probably the extreme of this profile or this profile, right? I'll just see like how overall structure forms. But if we do gap down, I'd kind of be just waiting for us to traverse like this entire area, right? Um, because we're just looking at it from higher time frame, and the bigger picture kind of tells us where we're likely gonna head. So if we do, sellers, break through this level, we'll see some bearish price action, probably to the extreme of this profile or this profile. But, I really doubt that'll happen just because, there's an objective for buyers, right? There's really no objective for sellers. There's no reason for sellers to push price lower, right? Um, there's a lot of inefficiency in the market that buyers need to go up and fill. So that's kind of why I want to see buyers with the upper hand for next week. Um, but yeah, just in terms of auction market theory, right? We're at the extreme of this profile, right? And buyers are using this composite VP as fuel to push price higher, right? You kind of see right here and right here we rejected. Um, but yeah, it's pretty simple. I'm more one-sided for next week. I'm not neutral. Um, just because I think buyers have an objective for next week. But yeah, if sellers do have the upper hand for next week, you know, like I'd say 680s to like 660s are like the areas I'm gonna be interested in. Um, but yeah, we'll see how Sunday opens. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish for next week. But I'm not gonna marry my bias, obviously. uh, we'll see what the market wants to do. Um, but yeah, that's about it.